the game between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepo, soon about to start, the one all the fans, I'm sure, out there in the arena are waiting for.
Let's go, let's go. Use the Take app. Go, download the app now. What do you think is going to happen in this game? Go guess the moves there.
Ooh, and another king spawn opening. So Magnus ready for a fight. We see an applause. I mean, people see Magnus make a move. They want to cheer for him. And it's the Petroff.
I'm about to go to
Russian
sleep,
defense.
bro. I'm about to go to sleep. Okay, wake me up when this game is over.
I'll wake you up when we see alongside Castle in this one. Because we see the Petroff can become quite a dangerous weapon these days. What are the chances of us getting an active Petroff, David?
They're very high, Tanya. You're a prophet. Prophetess. The bishop is, wow, I was going to say, about to come out. The white queen is going to shift up, and the white king is going long. Is going to the queen side. The black king, meanwhile, most likely to castle on the opposite flank, meaning mutual attacks potentially. I've got to say, the first time I've ever heard applause alongside a Petroff defense. Literally, I think the only time in chess history this will ever occur.
But you know, okay, if it's a Petroff, this is the only Petroff that I will be awake for. In fact, even the Petroff that we went over before, I think in the maybe it was World Championship, but knight takes c5 followed by knight d3 variation, like those were just very boring. These are very exciting Petroffs. So let's see what happens here. It's going to be, especially when you see castle on opposite sides, whoever gets to that king first is going to win.
It's a race to each other's king, and there's one open line, and that's in the center of the board. Will we end up seeing some trades there? Who will have control of the open e-file? Definitely the most exciting position that you can get out of this opening. It's Alpha Zero time. It's Alpha Magnus time. H4 on the board. H4. He's going for the attack.
H4, very fun. This is a fun line, I'm not going to lie. It's just, for aggressive players, you definitely love doing this, but it's kind of annoying. I think Jan, which he's a Petroff specialist, the Russian defensive guy, but this knight on c5 is quite annoying because you have to figure out where you want to put your bishop, and he answers that, bishop c4, but maybe a bishop e6 is going to be quite annoying too. He plays it,
Yeah, guess the move, James. Catching up now with Tanya. The bishop's likely to get traded off. Just depends on whose terms that's going to happen on. And, okay, there we see bishops depart from the board. Jan bobbing his head. Bopping his head.
Locked in.
Playing to the beat.
Exactly.
He's also an expert, right? Jan knows the intricacies, the ins and out of the Petroff defense. We've seen him employ this time and time again. Look at the speed with which he's responding. He's up on the clock. That last move takes control of some central squares, aiming at pushing that D pawn one step ahead as well at the right time. The B pawn might move forward. David, B5, B4 ideas on the board. I look at Jan. He's looking super chill right now. He's enjoying the music. He's enjoying the position.
Yeah, and rightly so. He's enjoying it for now, at least. He's got a very good score with the Petroff defense. We should mention Jan Nepo. He pretty much became the World Championship challenger twice on the back of this opening, winning some key games as black at the candidates tournaments. But, of course, against Magnus, you could never relax. And despite the fact he's out of the opening pretty healthily here, Jan, still some questions to answer as both sides go for the opponent's kings. Maybe we zoom out of this one and check out the bird's eye view. This is likely to go through a maneuvering phase right now before the attacks really begin. And the looks anything but boring right now.
Yeah, exactly. Not a Petroff. Doesn't look like a Petroff. No, it's a very, very wild position. I like this. H6 is hanging. Whose move is it? Okay, it's Magnus's move. Oh, but D6 is hanging, he's saying. Then bishop G7, maybe.
But I hear
D5.
you about this H-pawn hanging, but if black was to capture it and give up that D-pawn, you're also opening up a file on that king side. So I wonder how much you really want to support that pawn right now. I'd be happy if black takes on H6 and gives me the D6 pawn, knight jumping to E5 next, rook landing on H1. You're looking at some attacking possibilities there.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This thorn in the side, ever since Alpha Zero burst onto the scene and just spoiled our perception of chess, showed us all these new avenues. I mean, I never know what to do. There's literally no antidote. There's nothing recommended against pushing the pawn up the board. We're taught, throw your H-pawn up the board. Not sure what to do next, but not sure what the defending side should do.
For the score, I like that.
He's trying to defend his pawn. He's trying to keep that wedge in the black king side. This is maybe the last opportunity either to take this pawn or, en passant, Tanya opens up the F-file for white's rooks.
Oh, that's forced. Yeah, en passant is forced. That's what they say.
A streamer's favorite move.
That's forced. Yeah,
if it's on the board, you have to play it.
He has to play it.
It's not a glitch. It's not a glitch.
He has to play it. It's forced.
What else?
But, maybe B5 though. B5 at some point try to open up the B file. I mean, this is about to get very tactical. You did mention, actually, Tanya, with the rook takes d6 and 95 ideas. I'm not really a fan of that. I do like to take this pawn and then run back to g6 really fast, but I think white does have time to just stick the knight on e5. I mean, it's very tactical. Like, even bishop a6, rook d6, 95, queen f6, maybe, and then try to go bishop g7.
Let's show this.
Oof,
Let's show this. Bishop takes pawn. It's the most natural move just to get rid of that thorn in the side. Rook takes pawn, and James, you're mentioning bishop to g7, very natural move.
95, maybe.
I think we might see that, by the way. Bishop takes pawn is on the board.
Wow.
Yeah, and queen f6, and then you just iron them, and now we have a b5 idea.
It's being played out.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that doesn't
Go
work.
back
Queen
to the game.
f6, there's something wrong with that. I don't know, maybe g5 or something.
Yeah, g4 happened. Apparently a mistake by Magnus. Bishop takes pawn, rook takes pawn, and okay. The two most logical moves to my eyes would be dropping the bishop back, or maybe trying to move this knight out of the way because there's so much pressure on it. Knight c5, for example, try to trade off some rooks. He does drop back with his bishop. Very logical.
So 95 is really strong, and queen f6, which is a natural move, immediately the engine went up. So, you know, let's see what happens here. 95, he's reaching, and he goes for queen
I like
a5
that square.
instead. Okay.
I like it. You know, it's on the other side of the board, feels offside, but the queen can swing over anyway. You know, you've got this b6 really nice spot to attack the b7 pawn. You've also got the king side. You're eyeing that g5 square if the black knight moves from there at any point. Queen a5, I really like it. I think it puts pressure onto Jan here right now, because not easy. How do you counter it? It stops that a pawn moving forward. It stops the b pawn from moving forward. I'm liking Magnus's chances here.
And you stop the black rook from coming to d8 and challenging this powerful piece. And the black knight drops back. One of Bent Larsen's quotes, knight on f8, there is no mate. But,
Correct.
I mean, you don't need to checkmate necessarily right now. The big question is, do you have to trade rooks? Can you just move your rook away? Black's queen is attacking this pawn. So Jan Nepo trying to save himself here by a series of exchanges. Actually, if I didn't see the eval bar here, I would be terrified as black. I would think
Yes.
that I'm under some serious pressure. Wow, very brave by Magnus. If a black queen ever lands on this diagonal now, it's just going to be checkmate. But for now, f6 is covered by the white rook. So, okay, a trade of rooks. Ooh, who's the favorite? Who do you guys
The
prefer?
other rook comes in. It's such a tough question, right? Because black can line up, double up on the e-file as well, get his queen in front of the rook, and you're entering on that e2 square. Meanwhile, that knight on f8, you know, like you said, there's no mate and there's no entry on the d7 square as well. So doing a key job of defending all the big squares there. I think it's turned around a little bit. I'm actually liking that dark squared bishop, which is a full sniper on the longest diagonal on the board. The e-file, I think it's going to be more useful than the control on the d-file. Has this turned around, James?
I think the knight on f8 actually makes so a very good point there. I think it's like as the engine says, equal here. There's a lot for both sides. Like the knight on f8 actually, okay, stopping mate, stopping d7, but it's
Wait.
actually extremely passive.
What about the f4 pawn? What are we missing?
I was just saying that too. The f4 pawn was hanging.
That's
The f4 pawn was saying. I was definitely thinking that, but maybe there's some tactics with like takes. No, that doesn't
Oh,
work.
is it bishop 8?
Bishop h6.
Show this on the board
Yeah, let's
because
go
it is
back.
tactical. I think queen takes pawn might
What
walk into knight to
happens?
e6. And the queen attack,
Queen
you
d2.
need to defend this rook. If you drop back now, then queen to f6. And this is the idea we were talking about, right? Sniping on the diagonal.
That's beautiful.
And the double attack, you hit the knight as well.
With the Tarantino.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, the white queen would be overloaded on F4. So a little trap there set up by Jan. And he continues vibing to his music. I think he's vibing to the position as well, because this is such a Jan position to play, right?
Yeah, he's
There
the
are all
best
these tricks in the position.
He's the best at the Russian defense, aka the Petroff. He's just the best at it. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, he knows these positions inside and out. He even has a time edge on Magnus here.
Wow,
but
brave.
he takes f4 on the board.
That's very
this is
brave.
spicy stuff here.
Wow, there's checks now. The black queen
Right.
can just jump in,
Could go
hit the
bishop
white king.
c1 there.
Jan's spidey senses are tingling, right? You saw his face.
I mean, least of all, F2 pawn is hanging in certain moments. You could trade off the bishop, pick up the pawn on F2. That knight is landing on E6, hitting that white queen. Jan's got some pleasant choices, but he's got 3.5 minutes. Look at him. He's...
He vibing so hard. Hey, I'll be like, hey, stop moving, okay?
He's
You're
been watching-
distracting me.
He's been watching Hikaru too much.
He's bobbing. He is in the zone. No, but you like to see this type of Jan, especially, I mean, even against Magnus here. As Magnus's caliber, being who he is, Jan is just locked in, feeling good.
Can a player actually call the arbiter and say, this is distracting? Can Magnus do that?
I want to see it.
Oh man, that's funny, right? What do you think, chat? What do you think, chat? Should he call the arbiter? Jan is vibing too hard. Okay, can you stop his vibe? Thank you.
I mean, I'm going to say it, in a classical game, in a tournament, OTB tournament, if this happens in your opponent, you do feel that it's affecting you, you can do it. You can.
Yeah, OTB classical, that's correct. That is different. They can't stop you from like twirling the pawn in front of their face or opening the wrapper right at the board when you're trying to eat your food. This is just chess etiquette.
Ooh, gives a check. So forcing the queen to fall back, and now will Jan just grab the f2 pawn? He does it, attacking that knight. Magnus trades that sniper.
So you take level material, but whose king is weaker? Both kings have
Are quite weak.
a bit of discomfort, yeah?
Well, you can move the knight right now because there's a. Oh, I guess you could go rook d1, queen f4, back. There's a rook e1, fancy, but he just steps up.
Threats on the board as well. Queen f6 check at the right moment. Looks like a scary check.
96 is queen e5. Oof.
What's going on, David, here?
Yeah, despite the level material, I don't think a draw is the most likely here. It feels like someone is going to give checkmate or win material, or in an endgame. Black is actually better because of the pawn structure. Black has a 2 versus 1 majority on the king side, and that black h pawn is a runner, and knight's notoriously bad at stopping past pawns. Okay, Jan trying to trade off the rooks, but it looks like a mistake. The eval bar rises. Magnus can keep the rooks on the board, bring his rook to the back rank, black's back rank. Look at that, blue arrow appears. The black knight, they say there's no mate, but maybe it is checkmate.
Did someone say that in the studio? Knights on f8.
Knight on
David,
f8.
what was it? Remind me.
I can't remember.
Knight on f8. There is no mate.
He's going to play it.
He finds it. Of course, he dashes off the board, and the rook and the queen combine to create an attack. How do you defend it? Rook f6. What are the tactics?
Yeah, it walks into a pin, Tanya, so I think rook f6, white can actually abandon his knight. This knight is doomed, but the white queen will slide in. Let's show this on the board. Rook f6, queen to e5. This is a pin. The white pawn will win this rook and maybe win the game for Magnus. So this is a killer tactic, potentially. Look at the eval bar.
Oof.
Off the scales. I think Jan was relying on this trick, rook f6, winning the white knight. He thought he was skewering white's pieces, but walking into a pin himself.
What is the move?
Exactly, right? If rook f6 loses on the spot because of the pin, how do you defend that knight? You've got to fall back with your queen to a less active square. He finds it, queen c5. Probably the only move that keeps the game alive.
Yeah, the only move to defend everything. For now, black's got the 7th rank covered, but a shake of the head from Jan Nepomniachtchi now. At least a queen check can be blocked on the 7th rank. The black piece is now huddled together, defending. But white is so active. The white knight can start coming to d4. That looks like the most natural move to my eyes. He goes pawn hunting Magnus Carlsen. Another very strong move, trying to get to the 7th rank. This looks fantastic for white.
This looks super scary. You've got control of the 8th rank and the 7th rank, and the queen comes back to defend, also lining up with the rook. At least it looks like you managed to consolidate the position, and the blue arrow tells us, well, Magnus Carlsen find the best move. Of course he does.
Of course he does. Of course, right? Of course. What day is it, right? G5. Yeah, that's a great move. And look at the knight, is the disgusting piece on f8. This is so nasty there. You can't play rook f6 anymore. The knight, d7 is not happening.
Knight on f8, not going on any date.
Knight on f8 is not great.
It's not black's mate.
In the meantime, Wesley So profited from some mistakes from Alireza Firouzja to win in the endgame, gobbling up some pawns. Wesley takes the lead.
On a must-win game 2, not going to be easy. How easy is this for Jan to defend?
It's horrible. I think he's going to have to defend for a very long time if he's going to save this game. But he's been doing a good job, I would say, Tanya. He's at least curled up into a ball here. And this is a nice defensive formation. It's hard for the white knight to get active. That's the main problem for Magnus right now.
Also the time. I mean, this is a time scramble. Anything can and will happen right now.
Yeah.
So this is a great... And also, Magnus's pieces aren't as coordinated as they were the last few moves. So, like you mentioned, the knight can't really move too many squares. The rook is on b8, doing a great job, but it is by itself. Hence, he did attack at queen c7, attacking the rook now.
And Magnus has to go for the kill in the middle game, right? In an end game, we see that Jan has got this 3 versus 4, handling the 4 pawns on the left side, and actually has the majority that can be made into a passed pawn on the right side of the board. So it's all about trying to get to Jan's king right now. And look at that, Magnus with power piece play centralizes the queen. And our computer points out that rook e3. David, you love it.
Ooh, that's a very clever move because it gets the queens off by force. You attack the white knight, you would have opened up the tension with the queens.
Is there
and now
95? Check. No.
double question mark.
Double.
Can the white knight jump in?
Here we go.
He reaches out for the rook.
Ooh, still looks very good for white. Jan struggling to defend here. He's so passive. Yes, he's held everything together for now, but passive pieces normally end up being clumsy, and it's all about the 7th rank.
There's something here. There's something here. What did he play? Queen d6. He's getting
Keeps
closer.
the pressure on. That knight is
can't
coming
move.
to e5. Knight e5 would be a massive move right now.
He
Look at
literally
Wesley.
cannot
Look
move.
at Wesley's face.
Okay, Wesley in the background with the smile.
Knight e5 is a big threat. The knight jumping on. There are a million pins on the 7th rank. How does Jan take care? And now he realizes it. It's not an easy move to deal with.
Maybe King
5
F8.
seconds.
King F8
Make
only
a
move.
move.
King F8 only
Ooh,
move.
that was
Yeah.
panic.
It's only move. It's 95. Now at least I'm defending everything for a move.
Takes
here.
knight. Free
Takes
piece.
knight. Yeah, and there it is.
Magnus wins.
Nice. Woo-wee. Man, what a game. Look at Magnus's face.
Unstoppable Magnus.